Philadelphia Eagles OTAs winners and losers is on the docket for today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Hope you're all gearing up to have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. And coming up, just a look at which players performed well and who flopped during the first week of Eagles OTAs. Stock up, stock down. And we're probably going to do another one of these OTAs winners and losers segments because this was the initial week of Eagles organized team activities, voluntary practices this week. Philadelphia on the practice field at the NovaCare Complex on May 20th, the 22nd, and the 23rd. Little bit of a lull. Back at it May 28th, then May 30th and the 31st. Then the Eagles have mandatory minicamp in which every single player is expected to be on hand June 4th through the 6th. And then training camp TBD at this point, most likely going to get underway at the end of July. Before we take a look at our Eagles OTAs winners and losers, a great list, awesome breakdowns. Can we get the 75,000 subscribers with this video? Couple of the shows this week have picked up 60, 150 subscribers on a single episode. Let's beat those numbers on today's Eagles Now. We're 74 people away from 75K. And what you get, daily content, as always, go Birds. We start off with our Eagles OTAs winners. The rookie first-round pick, 22nd overall, Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, is on this list. Now, he did run with the second team at outside cornerback, kind of expected for his first practice as a pro. He made some really good plays on the football, and he looked the part with this size, the back pedal, the footwork, the speed, and that in speed, including the long speed as well. The 4.3 40-yard dash really on display. And there was a time in which he did get beat, but then he was able to display that track down ability and also the ability to turn around and address the football. He started the practice a little bit choppy, getting his feet wet. He ended it in a really strong manner, making plays on the football. In the last 2 years at Toledo, more than 40 pass breakups. He just has that ability and that knack for making plays on the rock. He compared his game and said he modeled his game after Darius Slay. Well, here's what Big Play Slay had to say about the rookie and his fellow cornerback counterpart. He's a quick dude that's got a quick twitch. I love his off man. I'm real good at off man. That's what I do. I watched his tape in college for a good minute. So there's some things that I'm going to help him with for sure that he asked me already to do, and that's my duty to do. I'm looking forward to helping him because I see a great talent in him. And what does Vic Fangio like to do with his defense? He asks his cornerbacks to play off man. And that's what Quinyon Mitchell is good at. Starting him off with the second team, routine procedure, but he's off the rave review so far. And that's great news for a first-round pick because Jalen Reagor, not able to do the same a couple of years ago. Winner number 2, linebacker Zack Baun. This is a player who Vic Fangio has gone out of his way to really compliment. And what I'm fascinated by here is that Baun is getting snaps at off-ball inside linebacker with Nakobe Dean still nursing some foot injuries. And he lined up alongside Devin White. And we're going to show you his snaps, his Pro Football Focus grades with the New Orleans Saints last year, and then tie that back to what Vic Fangio said. Even though Baun has barely played off-ball linebacker at the NFL level, Fangio thinks that he can thrive in that role. You look at his numbers from 2023. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 71.1, a run defense grade of 70.3. Pretty good, limited snaps, of course. A pass rush grade of 63.6. What do you notice is not here? Coverage grade. He doesn't even have one from Pro Football Focus because he did not drop back in coverage. Run defense snaps, 110. Pass rush snaps, 137. Another note about Fangio's defense and what he asked of his players in that open practice to the media earlier this week, the edge rushers will drop back in coverage, so maybe that's helping out Zack Baun if he can play and fulfill both of those roles. Edge rusher and off-ball linebacker. We'll see what happens when Nakobe Dean comes back, but Baun, good opportunities so far during OTAs. We're going to remain at the linebacker position, and we're going to shift gears here to Devin White, the free agent acquisition for Philadelphia. He got off to a positive start wearing the green dot and starting at Mike linebacker. And the play that really popped to a lot of people was Saquon Barkley coming out of the backfield on a wheel route. It's a staple play across the NFL for Saquon Barkley and something that the Eagles have run a lot of over the last couple of years. And Devin White with the speed, the athleticism, the quickness, the awareness skills here, which are important because sometimes he struggles in that area. He was all over Saquon. A great athlete on that wheel route. So he moved well, quick, fast. There were some people saying that he was a little bit overweight. How can you tell, though, with the picture that we showed you wearing the long sleeves, if he's overweight? I'm not going to make a great deal of that. Devin White, our third winner. Winner number 4, Saquon Barkley. And I'm so excited to see Saquon Barkley in an Eagles uniform. Most talented running back that this Eagles organization has had, no doubt, since LaShawn McCoy. And why Saquon is a winner, he doesn't have to play for the New York Giants any longer. He said his moment of realization was earlier this offseason, and of course during OTAs when he stepped into the huddle and he's looking around and he sees Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert behind this Eagles offensive line, which is worlds better than the Giants offensive line. He also has a really good play caller in Kellen Moore. And because of that, I think Saquon is set up for success. And I think that he's really excited for this opportunity because it's been a difficult go with New York because the complementary team and pieces around him have not been as talented, nearly as talented as what Philadelphia has to offer. Let's go back to the defensive side of the rock. Now we go to the defensive line on the interior. Jaylen Carter, 9th overall pick from last year's draft. He got off to an awesome start as a rookie. And he was impressive with his physical dominance, his quickness, his play, fairly highly graded Pro Football Focus player. But then what happened? Oftentimes for rookies, this does happen. You're used to playing 12, 13, 14 games at the college level. Now at the NFL level, it's a 17-game, 18-week schedule, which then bleeds into the playoffs. So Jalen Carter and his production, his play, it dipped at the end of the year. He got tired. So what did Jalen Carter do this offseason? And it looked as though at OTAs, he worked on that, being in better shape and his conditioning. Here's a word from Jalen Carter. It's been a lot on conditioning with what I've done this offseason. Really, I'd like to be more conditioned than working on technique because we got all year for technique stuff. We work on our technique every day in practice with our hands, working on pass rushes and stuff like that. But you really don't work on conditioning a lot. But I did more conditioning than hand movement and some of the stuff like that. My first year was okay. I wasn't pleased with how it ended. A lot of stuff that I see on film is stuff that I need to fix. It's okay. We're here now, and I'm ready to be better than last year. That's what you want to hear from a young player, a player who knows that he has to work on some of his flaws, blemishes, weaknesses, but also taking accountability. And I also like what he had to say about Vic Fangio. He said, I love Vic, man. Old school. He's fun to talk to. He's a good coach. I heard a lot of good news about him because I was in Miami working out. So I had a couple of Miami players out there and I was talking about them. So I heard a lot of good news. They were saying a lot of good stuff. Now, of course, Javon Holland did not have good things to say about Vic Fangio, but Miami, younger generation, a little bit soft. Philadelphia, blue collar, tough. It's perfect for Vic Fangio. And I think Jalen Carter can break out in year 2 with Vic Fangio as this team's defensive coordinator, and it's going to start with him being in better shape, so I'm happy to see that he's off on a good foot. And then I also want to talk a little bit here about Kellen Moore. He's not necessarily a winner, but I think that the Eagles' offense and the Eagles as a team could be a beneficiary of him calling the plays, installing his offense, and coming up with creative play designs, because what was really, really head-turning and sizable and notable during the OTA session, the big differences that we're seeing in this offensive scheme. A lot more pre-snap motion and a lot of creative personnel packages from Kellen Moore. Eagles need that because last year they were dead last in pre-snap motion rate. It only helps your offense, and you get cues from the defense. Other Eagles OTAs notes, and earlier this week, by the way, we talked about some OTA takeaways there. So if you want some more OTA breakdowns, that video and that show is a good one as far as that. Hurts looked good. He looked fast. Last year, Jalen Hurts looked a little bit slow. Kenny Pickett impressing as the backup quarterback. Paris Campbell got wide receiver 3 reps. C.J. Gardner-Johnson wearing the number 8 to honor the late, great Kobe Bryant. And Jordan Davis slimmed down a little bit, in pretty good shape. If all of this has you pumped up for the Philadelphia Eagles season, because we're talking about positional battles, roster battles, and actual ball, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. You know what I like? These Cooper DeJean shirts, available right now in Kelly green as well as black. John just embodies Philadelphia, the slang word for Philly. So DeJean, a play on words on that. Chatsports.com/DeJean. Get that. It's a great conversation starter, by the way. So you go to the bar, and a girl who's an Eagles fan, yo, DeJean, where'd you get that shirt? It's like, my boys at Chat Sports, Eagles Now. Check them out. Chase Senior Producer, Chip. E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles. Conversation starter at the bar. Come on now. Let's go. Eagles OTAs losers. Couple of notes that I want to get to here. A lot of receiver drops. This is to be expected when you've been working out all offseason and now you're back running some 7-on-7s, 1-on-1 drills. It's just a different type of style, feel, intensity. But a lot of receivers dropping passes can't happen. And you got to get better in that regard. Specifically with a couple of players here, Clemson running back Will Shipley, who the Eagles drafted in the 4th round, is a good, usually, catcher of the football out of the backfield. He's like a poor man's Christian McCaffrey. You can utilize him in a couple of different ways. Ball carrier, pass catcher. He was fighting the football, though, which isn't good because receiving the football is supposed to come seamlessly for him. Jacob Harris, a tight end, H-back, fullback type of hybrid. He had a couple of drops. That's not going to be good for his chances of making the team. Albert Okwa-Abanam had a drop that was of note as well. Nakobe Dean, I'm going to put him as a loser because he's still recovering from both of his foot injuries, and now Zack Baun has an opportunity to maybe take his role. And at the very least, Zack Baun is getting some good snaps right now at off-ball linebacker, and Nakobe Dean to start his career hasn't played great, and he's been injured a lot. He has to prove himself going into year 3. Ty Davis-Price on the roster bubble, fighting to make the team. And during OTAs, there was a play in which maybe Cooper DeJean, there was a little bit of a scrum, punched the football away from Ty Davis-Price. When you're fighting for a roster spot and you're on the periphery of the team, you just can't have those types of things happen. And I know that Darius Slay said, I'm in constant communication with James Bradberry. He's really focused on helping this young group out. And I get it that Eagles OTAs and all OTA practices are voluntary. But look, if I'm a team leader, if I'm highly compensated, this is my job. I would feel weird if I was not there. I want to be a leader. I want to set an example. I want to send a statement that the work in May starts right now so that in February, we're having a parade down Broad Street. And for James Bradberry, he was terrible in 2023. I'd be doing everything that I could to get back on the practice field to show that I can still play. And for those same reasons, Keely Ringo, where are you at? Other Eagles OTA notes on top of what we already discussed. Joseph Ngata, wide receiver 2 on the outside with no Devontae Smith. So it was A.J. Brown, Joseph Ngata on the outside with Paris Campbell on the inside. And then you're starting corners with no James Bradberry, Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, Avonte Maddox. Slay and Rodgers on the outside, Maddox on the inside. And Cooper DeJean, this is interesting, because I think he can be this team's slot nickel corner. Even as a rookie, he was getting second-team slot cornerback reps, even though he didn't do a lot of that at Iowa. DeJean and Covey, the only players fielding punts. Aniyah Smith, a lot of you have said, Chase, you got to stop saying Aniyah Smith. Aniyah Smith, sidelined with a stress fracture in his foot. I imagine he's going to get some punt return opportunities, and he definitely has that short area quickness and a little bit of wiggle. So those 3 players will probably be in competition for being this team's punt returner. So there you go. Philadelphia Eagles OTAs winners and losers part 1. Who is your biggest winner and loser? Let me know down in the comment section. Have a fantastic weekend. And yeah, if you have a question, Chase, is content still going to be on the docket? Of course it is.